Hello everybody, my name is the Gladiator 100 here for another Let's Play video of Kerbal's space program. Today, I'm going to do an orbiting tutorial, and this time I'm determined to make my tutorial a lot better than yesterday's. Yesterday's, I kind of rushed into it, I didn't know what I was doing, and I sped up the video in the middle, and I realized it was a mistake. So today, I will set forth on an adventure to try to bring you the best
Hello,
video.
Internet.
And Dylan is back. I do apologize very much yesterday for forgetting your name. I didn't know if you wanted me to use your actual name, or if you wanted me to use your Steam name. But
Yeah, I don't really care.
yeah, me neither.
It's okay, friend.
Thank you. Gracias.
You're welcome.
Alright,
Okay.
so today...
I complete this.
What?
I'm talking to myself. No need to get so salty.
Oh, okay. So the tutorial we're gonna have today is going to be just to get into a simple orbit to make sure, because I feel like I didn't explain it good enough yesterday, and I think
Well enough.
I didn't explain it well enough, and I feel like that's kind of the basis. I want to build on my videos from here, so I can say, if from this point on, if you haven't seen my video on orbiting, you should go watch that now. So, to get a nice orbiter, we're not going to be making this a satellite. We're just going to see how to get into orbit. So, the last stage you want to have on your rocket is going to definitely have a parachute, just in case you want to bring it down. And I'm going to just get the the Mark 16 parachute. From here, you want to have your final stage, which is just going to be the medium-sized fuel tank, and one of the Terrier engines. Of course, I actually forgot one thing, which was the RCS fuel tank. Those are always very helpful, and I would recommend putting one on almost every ship you have. And then you, of course, go to Control, and then get your thruster packs. A shortcut to doing symmetry is pressing X, so you can automatically go to 4 and keep tapping it instead of having to go click it. I like angle snap, so I'd recommend putting that on. And I get the place anywhere RCS port, so that's going to be the pod that's going to be in space. Alright, now this is what you're going to have that's going to be orbiting. So, we have to make something that's going to get this up there. So, we're going to grab ourselves a stacked decoupler, and this is going to be our main engine that's going to get us through the orbit. So, I'm going to have an FL T800 fuel tank, and I'm also going to have a T200. Actually, and a T100. There we go. Just keep on adding fuel tanks until it looks pretty. Then I want to go to engines, and of course the swivel engine is more controllable, and it has thrust vectoring. This gimbal limit, which I will go into more detail later, but for now we'll just call it an engine that can swivel, so you have more control.
Salty.
I'm salty. Why am I salty?
I don't know.
Oh man.
You're just being... I can sense your saltness.
I'm not salty though.
I can feel it.
Oh man. Please no. So this is our stage that's gonna okay, I can't talk. Kitten cut. Beep. I'm gonna add like that error symbol right in here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add solid fuel boosters. Also, I apologize in yesterday's video. You all obviously should have added solid fuel boosters. I guess I wasn't thinking. It was my first video. I apologize. It was a horrible tutorial, and I'm determined to make it better.
It's because he was so salty.
Alright, now I'm going to add Forest Thumper solid fuel boosters.
Did you just say salty booster?
Oh god, what has it done to me?
Exactly what I heard.
Oh
salty
man,
booster.
well, we got evidence now.
Okay guys, we got some salty booster.
So then you just want to add whatever nose cone. I like this one, I don't know what it's called, because talking is irrelevant to me. So I just want to strut it together so you know it can keep it together. You don't want it flopping all over. You don't want the rocket falling over through space. It's a bad thing. So there we go. This is pretty much the basis for your rocket. Make sure the staging is correct. You always want the parachute at the end. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make, and they don't realize what's happening. And you'll make it quite a few times from what I've learned about this game. Then I just like to add winglets, so you know, get a little bit more control in the lower atmosphere. And this time, a good suggestion you had was to use the launch stability enhancers, because they really do help get you at a nice angle. And we're just going to name this Low Orbiter. Or, actually, we're just going to call it Orbiter. Alright. Oh,
I should totally
whoops.
name it
Well,
Salty Thrusters.
Salty Thrusters. Alright, there we go. That works.
Genius.
So, this is pretty much what you're going to want for your spaceship. And I'm going to go through all the steps just here to make sure it makes sense. Because this is tutorials for people who are just starting out with the game, like Dylan here. And I want to help them out because there's a lot of new players
I'm not
the
just
game.
starting out. I have a total of maybe 7 hours now.
I'm actually relatively new to the game. I have 100 hours in it, but you know that's considered new by someone. But I understand most of the concepts, and I feel qualified to create this guide. Not really. Let's just keep moving because my self-esteem is getting worse as I keep talking. But I'm just gonna add a couple more struts, and I'm gonna explain what each of this does. Now this is your command pod. This is where you can control from. I just have a parachute. We have RCS and a couple fuel tanks. This is our last stage with our engine. This is for adjustments or bringing ourselves out of orbit. Then we have our main stage, which is going to take us from mid-atmosphere to hopefully upper atmosphere. And these solid fuel boosters are what's going to get us off the launch pad and hopefully up to at least 10,000 meters. But let's go ahead and launch. Oh man, I tried to like sit back in my chair, but I didn't. I had it on lock mode, so it was just like, nope, not today. If you know what I'm talking about, it's fine. She does, it's okay. All right. Of course, I want to press T and then R for your RCS and your SAS radio control systems. And
How do I change
stability
meters
assist.
from kilometers on my thingamabobber that tells me how high I am in the Earth?
It automatically changes.
Oh,
Good job.
okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so I actually forgot to do a little bit of staging here. You probably were yelling at me through your screens. If anyone actually does watch this, you know, that would be nice. So I'm going to press space. I'm not actually going to adjust this right now. Because
I'll keep pressing refresh on your videos.
Thank you. So
You're welcome.
So what I like to do is I actually like to press space before and then launch so I can actually rev up my engines. And it doesn't matter here because it's solid fuel. And basically what solid fuel is solid fuel makes it easier to get up into the atmosphere because it's uncontrollable and you can't control how much thrust. It's just to get you up and you decouple it. It has no control, but it's good for lower atmosphere. Otherwise, you probably should never be using solid fuel in orbit. Otherwise, you're going to have a really bad time trying to figure out your orbit. One downside is
question, is it bad that I'm dive bombing towards Kerbal?
Not necessarily. It depends what your objective is.
Like I have no control.
Yeah, that's usually bad. So this part
How
of the video,
bad?
very bad. So
Like 1 to 10 bad.
on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 3. So,
You see?
because you can recover from it.
It's not.
So at this point.
Well, I mean, I'm almost out of fuel.
Oh, that's a 0. I don't care if you included 0 or not. All right, now I'm actually gonna pause the game at this moment just to explain a couple things. When I start. Angling myself, I start around 15 to 20,000 meters. Of course, some people, such as Scott Manley, suggest turning at 10,000, but at the beginning I found it's a lot easier to just adjust your orbit when you're up in the upper atmosphere, just because I believe it's easier because there's less air resistance and it's easier not to fly out of control. That's just a quick note. I'm actually pressing D, and usually I like to turn right, just because that's the way Kerbal rotates, and I believe it's just easier and it actually saves fuel. It's more efficient. It's not that much more efficient, but you know, it works. So now I'm just gonna keep on following the orbit and keep on pushing my little indicator here down until I'm at the horizon on my artificial horizon. At this point, I'm going to just basically wait for this to even out, so it's about from there to there. Once I'll get there, I can explain a little bit more what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So at this point, I'm just going to throttle up and sit back and relax. I'll cut back to you when I'm back. Alright, I should be cutting this out. I didn't actually cut anything from the other video. That was probably my fault. That was probably bad. Alright, we're just about back here, and our orbit's getting quite large. We're almost to the point where I want to start adding maneuvers, but I want to add it a little bit higher up. I'm actually going to point right on the prograde indicator here. And I forgot, I didn't know how to explain that last time. I kind of had a loss for words. But the prograde indicator is the one that has the 3 lines on the top and left and right. Alright, now I'm going to press X to quickly turn off my engines rather than holding Shift and Control. And actually, in this case, so my orbit doesn't fall anymore, I'm actually going to throttle up a little bit. It depends on how high you are up though. So then you just want to grab your prograde indicator and drag it up to the side of the orbit you want. Now you're going to notice that this side of the orbit isn't very large and it's a little bit lopsided at the moment. So to fix this, I'll go over it when we get there. But for now, let's just point ourselves at the maneuver by either using the keys W, A, S, and D or clicking the maneuver indicator if you have SAS or a pilot on board. Alright, and our maneuver node should be coming up in 18 seconds. And we should have a burn of about 31 seconds. So, we're going to wait for this to turn all the way up, and we're going to burn on full throttle. And, what do you know, we've run out of fuel. So, I'm going to press space to decouple and start our next stage. Now, I believe we should have enough fuel to get ourselves to our destination, but if we don't, that would be probably a problem. I think we should though. So I'm just gonna wait this out and see how long it takes. It's a quite short burn. It's not too large. I actually went past the node, which isn't the best, but you know, it works. And this time I'm actually going to show how to get into a higher orbit, because I know a lot of people actually will overshoot it, and they'll get the orbit way out here because they didn't start rotating. You really do have to keep fighting it to get down on the horizon, and the horizon's where the orange and the blue meet. Alright, we're just about getting there, so we're going to wait till our apoapsis matches. And press X right now. And then I'm just going to click on the node and right click to delete it. Now we're traveling along our orbit this way, and our orbit's actually going to get smaller just by a little bit every time we go around. So we have to fix this, because this is not an acceptable orbit. It's just not acceptable. So I am going to slow down here, and the best way to even your orbit out is to add maneuvers right on the apoapsis or periapsis. So, in this case, I'm going to add one on the apoapsis, since my periapsis is closer to the ground. And I'm actually going to explain what the apoapsis and the periapsis are now, because I completely forgot in the last video. The apoapsis is abbreviated by AP, and it's basically the peak of your orbit, the highest point you will get. Over the vertex, if you have taken algebra, it's the vertex and a parabola. The periapsis, however, is basically that opposite. It won't actually appear until you're in an orbit, because when you're launching into the ground, there is nowhere for the bottom of the orbit. It's just going to run into the body that you're in. So I'm going to add my maneuver here, and I'm going to edit it and drag our prograde. That's the wrong. Don't drag the other ones. Don't worry about that now. We can get into that later. But I'm going to keep on dragging my prograde indicator until it's about even. And once they spin around, you'll know that you're pretty much done. Then I just like to hover my mouse over the apoapsis to see how high it is. This is 1.3. We'll go by the I can't talk. The thousandths this time. So 392, and we look at our periapsis, and it's 329. So that's actually fairly good. I'm actually going to keep that. You want to basically get these as close as you want. Now, if I were to actually overshoot this, all you would have to do is you go around your orbit once, and then you burn retrograde, which is the opposite of prograde, and it looks like this. If you can see that, I might be able to zoom it in the video. I'm not that good of an editor yet, but... So, I'm actually going to go on to the maneuver. This is how I found it really, really helps with navigation, especially if you have RCS on. It does take up a lot of fuel, but I do like how it automatically will orient yourself. So I'm going to cut back right to when I am at my maneuver node. Okay, I have arrived at my maneuver node, so I'm just going to orient myself like this because I am OCD. That's just a joke. So I'm actually going to start burning. I'm pointing toward my maneuver. I'm on that. And the two ways you can indicate when you're done is either by the amount of the thing at the green bar, either the green bar or of the. I can't talk. This is getting cut out too. The green. Ugh. You know you're done with your orbit when you can either.
Words are hard.
Yep. Okay. One way to know when you're done with your orbit is either when your blue line matches up with your orange line, or when your green bar has been depleted. Shh, I'm just adding infinite fuel. Alright, and we are almost done with our burn.
I am spinning wildly out of control. Please send help.
You gotta add fins.
I don't actually. This is my satellite. I don't want fins on my freaking satellite.
So one other very helpful tip I found is when you're almost done with your burn, you always want to throttle back because you're likely gonna overshoot and not be able to control it. So now, as we can see, we are in orbit and we have our pod. So I can save RCS fuel, I'm actually going to hit alternate. Oh, look we just ran out of fuel. Wow, that was perfect timing. I'm actually going to hit alt. Oh, no, I'm actually going to turn off my RCS thrusters, and I'm going to turn off my engine. I'm going to shut down engine. You can always activate it again, because I don't really want to accidentally deorbit myself. That's a big mistake that a lot of people have, especially if you're using Steam, because it's always easy to hold shift and tab at the same time and not knowingly deorbit yourself and ruin all your progress. So this has been my tutorial on how to make an orbit in Kerbal Space Program. I hope you all have enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. Put any suggestions you have for the series down below. And I want to thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.